Hey guys, today I wanted to share with you some parts I've been collecting. Now these parts will kind of explain the vision I have for this car. So let's go through those right now. So these are the Z-3 stock taillights, the facelift model. I was originally going to be using these, but now that I'm looking at it, now the car's taking shape, I'm not sure if they're gonna work out. If I did, I'd have to cut this black part off, which is no big deal. But until I do that, I might go a different route. But we'll kind of see that as it plays out, because there's different things that are going to be factors now in the rear of this car that I kind of didn't have planned, but now that I have them here, are going to be part of the plan. So continuing with the theme of lighting, I went on just the old Amazon specials and got some cheap lighting solutions. Now my thought was, I kind of want to retain almost a BMW-ish look. So I got these kind of ugly, but they'll look good in the car, halo lights, right? These are just fog lights. You know, they're pretty bright, but they're not like crazy bright lights. Something I can upgrade later, but I think they were 25 bucks a pair. So there's that. But they have the halo ring that lights up separately from the center bulb, which is nice because it gives you a cool, kind of newer BMW look. And as I just showed you, I bought two different diameters, right? So they can have like a staggered look on the car. So I think a cool staggered, you know, one setback or one, you know, being a smaller diameter is gonna kind of make it look cool. I'm also planning on kind of making a faux headlight frame. Well, it's not really faux headlight frame, it's gonna be a real headlight frame, but it's going to be a piece of bent tubing that is going to house these headlights. And I'll give it a little shape and character. But what I bought with for those is this little LED strip. So this is just double-sided tape here. And this little tiny strip is actually super bright. And you can take this and cut it at any length. So what I'm gonna do is take this strip, get the determined length, and bend it around as like a daytime running light. This also acts as a blinker. So this will illuminate orange, kind of like, you know, the newer Mercedes and stuff like that have that turn indicator that, you know, sweeps. I would demonstrate it for you, but I only have two hands here and it's kind of tricky. So we'll do that once it's on the car. So that's my idea for lighting in the front. As of now, I think it's gonna come together pretty well. Let's go over here. So these are my rear view mirror options. These are just cheap motorcycle mirrors. I did buy some side-by-side mirrors, but they were just way too big and they stuck off the side of the car like crazy. So these are a nice sleek solution and they'll look pretty slick, you know, when mounted properly on the car. Nice low profile. They keep obviously your rear view mirror and your rear visibility in check, and it keeps you street legal. So that's positive. Also, I got a wide view, or I don't know what to call this, wide angle rather. Yeah, that's the word. Wide angle rear view mirror. This is also for a side-by-side and comes with these clamps that bolt to roll cage tubing. So that's my rear view mirror. What do I have here? Here I just have a generic oil catch can, nothing fancy, but we deleted the CCV valve and all that stuff. So we're gonna add an oil catch can. Here's just a basic steering wheel hub adapter for an E36. I did order a quick release and I'm still looking for a steering wheel. So if anybody has a steering wheel that's nice and smooth, a Sparco Momo in particular, that would be awesome. I found these are used, I think they're Treehouse lower control arm bushings and mounts. And I think these are the offset ones. I haven't held it up to the car yet, but it was one of those deals. These were 40 bucks and knew they're like 140. So I just picked them up. Didn't really need them, although I am going to be doing new bushings, but I figured, well, hey, that skips me having to press out bushings and all that. And these are really nice pieces. Also, I think I showed you guys these tie rod end rather relocation brackets. So that'll give me some more angle for drifting stuff. And I just got this morning from George. Now this is almost a 3-inch core, all aluminum radiator. He said this came off a Corvette. It seems to be in pretty good shape. So this is going to be my rear mounted radiator. And it's a nice piece, so George definitely hooked me up on this unit here. And let's go to the fun side. Okay, so James hooked me up with this awesome intercooler. It is a 4.5-inch core by, what was it, 18 by 12. So this thing fits perfectly in the front tube area I just made. Looks great. The turbo is gonna be able to dump right into this sucker. It's gonna have a real short outlet too. Nice short, quick system. So hopefully this thing will be really responsive spool-wise. Here's my turbocharger. This is a Garrett Honeywell. This is a 58 millimeter compressor turbine with a 0.70 AR on that side. And the rear has a, what was it? A 0.63 AR in the rear with a, oh geez, I forgot. What was it? A 67 millimeter turbine housing. So that's gonna be, that should be a really, really proper turbo for this application. It should light off quick and be able to produce more power than that motor can handle in its current form. So we also got a tile blow-off valve. So that's just a nice unit there. And we have a 44 millimeter tile wastegate. And this is also a very nice gate. On the smart car, I don't know if you guys seen the videos, we had issues with a 38 millimeter not being able to bleed off enough manifold pressure and causing boost spikes. So the 44 is what we upgraded on that. So this is just going right from the get-go. Just do the bigger one, then we don't have any question of it not going to working or not. And what was I gonna say? Oh yes, the only thing I need for this is to order the kind of, I think it's the adapter kit they call it, but includes the fire ring, which compresses the plunger on the housing there when you install it with a V-band. Also on this, I pulled it apart, the diaphragm and everything looks good, and this has a 12-pound spring in it. So I'll probably just run that off the bat. I don't even know if I'm gonna get a boost control or anything right away, unless something comes across, but 12 PSI sounds pretty reasonable to me. And I think that'll give us really close to our power numbers. So we'll see how that goes. I know guys around here have a bunch of different springs for these too. So for tuning purposes, it's easy enough for me to pop this off and toss a different spring in it if we want to start off at a more conservative power level. So that's where I'm at, guys. I'm very excited. All these parts are very cheap for what we did with James and I worked out just some bartering deals on this turbo stuff, so it just worked out for both of us. George gave me a solid hookup on this radiator, which is awesome because I was looking at buying a brand new radiator, but it's one of those deals. You can either get junk or not junk, and I didn't want to buy anything crappy. So this seems to be a pretty well-made radiator, nice thick core. Definitely should take care of all of our cooling options, and it looks sick on the back of the car. So big thanks to George on the hookup on the radiator. That's awesome. All this other stuff was kind of cheap stuff. I'm not looking to break the bank on this car, so that's the big theme here. So as of today, with all these parts here, the seats, the tubing, and all the miscellaneous things that I've bought for it, I'm into this car for about maybe 1,500 bucks. So keep in mind, I sold all the body panels when I first got the car for $200 more than I paid for the entire car itself. So I was actually plus 200 before I started buying anything on this car. Obviously I have a ton of time into it, and that's a huge factor, but actual dollars out of my pocket into this is very minimal. So I'm super pumped about that. My goal is to be into this whole thing, if possible, for under $3,000, which I think I'm right on track with that, because as of now, a lot of the big ticket items are done. I mean, the turbo, intercooler, radiator, all this stuff is very expensive stuff if you have to buy it brand new, or even used, but I was able to barter and, do that kind of thing. So yes, it is money, but the actual cash out of my pocket wasn't a big deal on this. So I'm super excited that we're at that point. I do have to buy tires. I did buy a set of wheels and things like that, but they can also be used on my E30, so I haven't counted those onto this, but they're also not gonna be drift wheels, and I might just sell them because they're just really nice. So I might keep them as like a, you know, if I'm going to car shows and just showing the car off or whatever, I might just keep those nice wheels and just pop them on for things like that, but who knows. So either way, I'm not counting those wheels. Those wheels were also only 600 bucks. So even if I did count those wheels into the whole factor, I'm still into the car for, let's say $2,000. So I'm very excited about that. And I can't wait to share for you guys my lighting and getting this front end kind of getting squared away here, because I have some rad ideas and it's gonna be awesome. So stand by and check out my lighting solutions, at least for the front, because I think you guys are gonna dig it. And I'm very excited to see how it looks. Guys, I almost forgot the icing on the cake for the parts. I was in my truck, but I just received it last night. I've never bought anything like this before, and I don't know how I feel about it yet, but I think it's gonna be rad. We got ourselves a JDM carbon fiber GT spoiler, or you can call it whatever you want. But this was the design. I actually kind of liked it because I measured beforehand, and this bump up area is pretty much in plane with my main hoop. So right where the main hoop kind of starts to go down, also this wing goes down. So I don't know. I've never bought anything like this. It's a little too much for me, but I think it will work on this car and it will really set it off. So really excited to get this mocked up, because that will really solidify the look of the car, you know what I mean? On top of the headlights, taillights, all that stuff. So yeah, kind of crazy, a little wild, a little, hey, look at me, but I don't know. I think it will fit the car pretty well. So I can't believe I almost forgot to show you guys that. All right, guys, check out what we have going on here. So I took a little bit of time and I made some little headlight-ish tubes. I made this top tube here, and now I'm working on the bottom tube, the front bumper, essentially, area. Trying to get the height right, seeing where I can bend it to look right. You know, I do a lot of things. I'm a super visual person. This was a piece I had left over, but as you can see, I had to cut it for another piece. So I just, you know, tacked on a little tube to give it a little extra visual room. Obviously nothing like that would ever fly, but you know, this is just kind of me getting a visual on how I want this to look. I'm not sure if I want it straight. I'm not sure if I want to utilize my tubing roller and roll a radius on it. I think I'm going to, I just got to keep on staring at it a little bit. Another thing I'm looking at doing is taking some 1-inch tube and triangulating it here into the center of my dash bar. That will allow me to really not have to run a strut tower brace, which I was going to make a removable strut tower brace, but I think this would be a little better solution and stronger overall. So essentially, if you can envision, the tube will punch through. All right, I think I found a solution here. So what I'm gonna do is, I was a little hesitant about using 1 3/4 tubing. It's really not necessary down here. And if anything, if I do hit something, I would rather lighter tubing bend than start twisting chassis and stuff. So it's not a crumple zone by any means, but if I were to tap something, I'd rather, you know, bend a lighter tubing. So with that being said, I think I'm gonna use 1 1/4 here. Make little, maybe 1/2-inch standoffs to come off here. So this will essentially sit like that. Wow, no idea why I decided just to do that in the sun. That was dumb. Anyways, here is my lower piece. Now this will go on like this. All right, at a last minute change of heart before I cut those ends, I decided to add another bend in. It was looking a little too plain Jane, just being a straight piece. So I added 2 more kicks in it, pretty much exactly where these top ones start. So it gives it like a nice, it's not a rolled radius, but it actually matches this quite well. And if you look down on it, it looks pretty slick. Well, that's what I came up with. I was talking earlier about lowering the intercooler, but now that I think about it, I don't have an oil cooler in this car. These didn't come with oil coolers. So this would be an excellent spot for like a little 3-inch tall by, I don't know, 18-inch wide or something like that, oil cooler. I know the factory E46 M3s have something exactly like that. Maybe that's something I could use, or maybe there's an aftermarket option. In the meantime, since this is more or less finished, I can pop the intercooler out and slide the radiator in there somehow. It's not a big deal. I had these little mounts that I just tacked together for the radiator, so I can probably just tack these on somewhere just so we can get the car rolling under its own power again. Well, as you can see, I did not start the back because I went full ADD mode on this, and I just made a quick little cardboard splitter just to see if that would be something that would be cool or not. I think it'd be pretty slick. Obviously, it's just a quick and easy. It took me 10 minutes just to get it on there, zip tied it, you know, nothing fancy. But I think that could be a cool add-on. Certainly I'd have to, you know, radius all this out, and obviously this is just a visualization thing. But oh man, I can't wait to get this thing on the ground. All right, back to the back. Quick game plan on this. I know we talked about it probably twice. This will be the 3rd time. But right now I'm going to cut, you see how there's this raised ridge here? I'm going to cut that flat and cut all of that out. I'm going to plate the top of this and weld a piece of 1/8 inch and match the holes, obviously. And then the 1/8 inch is going to extend out. And I'm gonna, before I weld it, I'm just gonna kinda, I'll probably just finger tight a couple bolts in it. And then this tube is going to wrap around and contact that 1/8 inch plate. And I'll try to form it to it and everything. And that's going to be my mount there. And then this tube will carry down, hit here, here, back up and around. Hopefully we can do it all in one shot. It's one of those things, it's gonna be a hard bend to do because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bends, and they all rely on each other to be perfect. If one's overbent or one's underbent, well, underbent's okay because we can, you know, kind of correct it a little more, give it a little kick. Overbent, we're kind of screwed and we have to start again. So I'm gonna start with probably the middle here. I'm gonna start from the center, and I'll do these 2 bends first, and then we'll go from there. And my idea is to leave these legs long, right? So once I do this bend, I'm gonna leave this bend long so it goes past the tube. That way you don't short ourselves. Well guys, I bit off more than I can chew. I jacked up this bar pretty good. I thought I had it on the first one, but I messed up. Nowhere near what it's supposed to be. It also doesn't help that, I don't know how I spaced this, but my 1¼ inch only goes to 90 degrees. My 1¼ inch die rather, only goes to 90. My 1 inch goes to 180. So I thought I could do it with a 90, and I just... With that being said, I am going to take a new plan of attack because honestly, I'm trying not to like spend a whole day on making this stupid tube. I'm gonna lop it off right here. I'm gonna lop it off right here. I give up on trying to be Mr. Fancy Pants here. This whole hitting this just right at the right level and hitting this and notching it and getting this bend and all that is just... It's doable, but at this point, I tried it and I was off by enough to where it wasn't gonna work. So I just said, screw it. Okay guys, burning daylight here. I told you, we'd get a shot to see how this looks on the ground. Not in the garage. So here we're gonna go. So here we go. I'll just let it roll away. Back's unfinished. That's cool. Oh, I'm excited to look at this. Okay. All right. I think I like it. It looks a little bit pissed off. That's kind of the look I think I was going for. Oh, this is crazy. Sometimes you just gotta step back and think about what the heck you're doing. God, those yellow shocks are awful. We really gotta address that. We're getting close, boys and girls. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one, because things are just getting crazier.